Hello. See you in an hour-ish. Many doctors, including myself, have left the NHS. Boom, boom, boom. That's not really a shock, is it? But many doctors aren't. And I think that's the bigger shock, to be honest. With all-consuming low job satisfaction, why are more not leaving? That is my question. In fact, every day I speak to a doctor who says, I'm going into training for my sins. Oh, if I could leave, I would leave right now. And I'm like, well, why don't you? But being a gal who has recently tried to leave, I understand the pain. I get it, okay? I understand it. And I am here today to talk about why doctors aren't leaving medicine. Not why are they? Because I don't think that many people are, like that many doctors are. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story because I sort of left and then didn't. So let's get into it. By the way, guys, I'm Dawn. I'm a doctor and I talk about all things mental health, all things self-improvement, all things self-love. But I guess it's like related to doctors now because gal's got a niche. So let's get into what's going on. Okay, let's talk about my story first because I'm a fucking narcissist. No, I think it's pertinent. I'm not that narcissistic, I promise. Or maybe I am. Who knows? By the way, I'm vlogging today. You might have just seen at the beginning. Hi, if you've come over from the vlog, hello. Nice to see you. If you haven't, then hello. Nice to see you too. But yeah, if you want to go watch my vlog, it's about my heavily productive day in the life of a doctor who's not at work. What do I do in between my days where I'm working? Well, I do have a lot to do, unfortunately, and often I get quite bad anxiety and don't do it because I get so overwhelmed. Anyway, I'll talk about that on the vlog. You don't need to listen to that here. So, my story. If you've been listening to me for a while, you'll know that my story is fraught with sadness. A bit of sadness. Sorry. But things are looking up, I would say. So my journey in medicine's never been easy, but whose is? I don't know. I think other people's are, but being a doctor is kind of a mental health issue in itself, I would say. So we all need a little bit of help from our friends, and I'm your friend. So my story is I went into medicine at 18 for my sins, and then I just went straight through. But I really struggled in medical school to be like, and F1 in particular, oh my god, to be a fucking doctor. As you can tell, probably, my friend called me eccentric the other day. I'm eccentric in personality, but I think if you just looked at me, you'd be like, she's pretty normal. I don't know. But I don't like to do things particularly normally, and here we are, recording this podcast. So yeah, I struggled really, not fitting in. I've never struggled to fit in. It was more that I struggled to conform. I would say that's the thing. I struggled to behave, or I don't know. Anyway, I was going through a big episode of depression. Yay! So that was fun. Not. And this reminds me of Borat when he's like, not. So yeah, that wasn't fun at all. Don't recommend. And so my life in medicine has been a little bit difficult. Anyway, I've always, like I said, always struggled to fit in and not fit in. I've always struggled to behave like a doctor, basically. I would say that's what I mean. There are doctors who are very square, very straight-laced, very 1 up, 2 down, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, 2 up, 2 down. That relates to houses, but there we go. And they're just very linear is the word I would use. I am very abstract, not linear. I do wonder if I've got some kind of, ADHD issue, but that's a story for another day. I did actually do an episode on that, so you can go listen to that. But I really struggle to concentrate on one thing. I'm a bit all over the place. Is it my anxiety? I don't know. But then I had depression in F1/5th year, and that was so hard, so hard. I basically wanted to leave all the time, but who doesn't in F1? Because it's shite. Because it is really shite. If you're in F1, it gets better, okay? If you're in F2, again, still gets better. It's just really hard. You get just thrown out into the world. You feel like all the weight's on your bloody shoulders, but it's not. Don't worry, it's not. But that's what it feels like. You're like, oh my god, I'm gonna get reported to the GMC at every false move. But in reality, the older you get, you're like, nah, it's not. It doesn't happen. Like, it takes quite a lot to be for the GMC to come after you. I don't know what they're up to, but not contacting me, hopefully. So I talked about this as well. I had a very toxic job, okay? My last job in another hospital. Very toxic. I really, the animosity within the team was not good, and I didn't enjoy it, okay? I got really bad anxiety from it. Like, I even got physical symptoms, which is very abnormal for me. Most of the time when I have anxiety, I'm just like, I just freeze, or I get like, my mind like can't concentrate on one thing. So I got really bad anxiety. I got really bad like shortness of breath, but it was like, my chest was so tight that I like didn't breathe properly. So I would like do that. I call it over breathing, under breathing, whatever you want to call it. And then that gave me a really sore throat, and then I had really bad reflux, and these are all like classic symptoms of like psychosomatic symptoms, and I fully like was on board with that. I was like, I know that I'm really anxious. I was feeling anxious every day anyway, so it was like, duh, like I'm anxious. These symptoms are because of that. Anyway, so then I took a long break from medicine, and that was sort of not of my own free will. Basically, what happened was I kind of left, right? And I thought, yeah, I'm gonna hit the ground running with my YouTube channel. I'm gonna upload like every day. And then I burnt out, and then I was daily vlogging, but then I realized that, well, I can't afford an editor because I'm not working, so I had to cut that and do it all myself. So I was filming and editing, and then hated my life because of that, so stopped doing that. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna upload 3 times a week and podcast 3 times a week. Then I burnt out from that, and now I think I've reached a sort of equilibrium. I podcast twice a week, and currently having a break from YouTube, just trying to reevaluate because I've started working again. Yeah, I'm trying to reevaluate like what I'm doing, right, with my upload schedule. I'm thinking once a week, but I'm still trying to figure that one out. Anyway, so I left medicine with a lot of savings. Thankfully, the job that I was in paid very well. Now, then what happened was I applied to join the bank. I was working as an agency doctor. I applied to join the Locum Bank in Bristol because I was living here. I am living here. And that didn't go so well. I started my application on the 25th of January, I remember, because I looked, and then I think submitted it on the 2nd of February. Now, what happened was I applied to the one in town, so it's like BRI and Western. Now, I thought that covered Southmead as well, because Southmead is a bit closer to me, and I thought, okay, so I've just joined like both of them. Now, it got to about, February, March, April, probably, maybe April time, maybe end of March, and I was like, oh my fucking god, because you have to join this app basically, and I realised that there was 2 separate Bristol ones, and at that point I was like, oh my god, I've only joined one and it's taken this long. It taken like 2 months for me to even get like anywhere close to because the application took a long time to like look through or accept, and then anyway, it just took a really long time. But I was like chilling, I was fine, I was doing my YouTube stuff, and I was like, oh, it's fine, it'll come through really quickly. Oh, I'm sorry, my nose is like not good. Hopefully I've got rid of it all. Anyway, so it took a really long time, and I was sort of chilling. I was like quite acutely aware that my savings were rapidly disappearing, and I was like, why the fuck does life cost so much? Like, what is going on here? And then I was like, okay, just chill out. You've got like, anyway, I don't want to go into the money side of it, but you've got like a lot, and it's okay. Like, it's not ideal, but it's okay. And my option was I could go back to agency doctor, which honestly made me want to cry. Like, everyone was like, just go back, and I was like, it's making me heavily fucking sad. Like, I wouldn't say depressed, but like, do you want me to be miserable? And the issue was that as an agency locum doctor, you basically get shoved onto the worst shit in the world. Like, fair enough, like, you are working as a locum, whatever, but you get put on a rota, and then you just off you go. And it's like, it's a really hard way to work as an agency doctor. I would say it's much worse than working on the bank. Anyway, I was like, no, I want to go on the bank and I can't go back to agency. Like, I'd reached my breaking point with that. I can't work 5 days a week, like, not only because of my YouTube and podcast, which I enjoy much more, but because I just can't. Like, I can't do it. So everyone kept being like, yeah, you can, whatever. And I was like, you just don't understand. Like, if something makes you that anxious, miserable, like, do you really want to go and do it every day? No. So I fought against it wasn't my better judgment, but everyone else's judgment of me going back to that. And I waited out for the banks. Right. So in about March, April. Yeah, probably April. I applied to the North Bristol Bank, right? That one, they were on fucking fire. They were like, bam, bam, bam. Like, the communication with them was amazing. They got everything done quickly. Like, oh, you're home. They got everything done quickly. Like, it was just... Anyway, they got everything done so quickly. It was like bang, 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 wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And I was in, despite having applied 2 months later than the BRI one, I started my shifts at exactly the same time. It was insane. Like, I was getting so frustrated with the BRI one, and then I was like pissed off at myself because I was like, I've been waiting for the BRI one and I just didn't realise that I'd only applied to one. So I was like, fuck's sake, I could have started sooner and I wouldn't have had all the money stress that I've been having, because it is stressful going into your savings when you're like, well, you know, I have no way of getting out of this right now. And this whole story is pertinent, by the way, I'd like to point out. So I also in December started improv, like at the improv theatre, and because I thought it would help with my YouTube channel, and it has, definitely. And it also helps with my podcasting. Also just helps with life. Like, go fucking check it out, bitches. And it's basically like, I don't know why I'm telling you what it is. It's improv theatre. You don't have a script, you just like go. You're just like, woo, I'm off. And you just make it up on the spot. Everyone knows what improv theatre is, I'm sure. So everyone thinks it's like improv comedy. It's not comedy, it's like actual theatre, and it can be comedic, it can be serious. Like, it often ends up being funny though, because people making stuff up on the spot is quite funny when they're trying to like be a character and you're just sort of going along with what the other person's saying. So it ends up being funny. Anyway, I did that and then I just loved it, and I was like, I have wanted to perform my whole life, and I guess I have been as a doctor. But anyway, I realised that I wanted to become a performer, and I kind of already perform in my YouTube channel and my podcast. Hello. But I guess I want to like go on the stage and do like proper films or TV stuff or whatever. And I then joined, I've been doing lots of acting since then. I've got acting tonight actually in a couple of hours for like 5 hours. I've got rehearsal. So yeah, basically I then decided I want to pursue acting. So I joined, and I thought this would like just fucking materialise, but it hasn't, and that's what I'm kind of getting to, right? So it is pertinent to the point of why it's very hard to leave medicine, because I am a prime example of it. So I thought, yeah, I'll become an actress. I just say actor because it's easy, okay? I'm going to become an actor. And I basically signed up to a theatre school. Like, I auditioned for it and everything, had an interview, and they accepted me. Now, because my money issues and my money's been running out, at the time that I applied for it, I thought, yeah, I'll have the money as long as my jobs come through. Now, because the jobs have taken so fucking long, I've basically had to eat into that just to live. So at the moment, I'm not going. Like, it starts in a month and a half and I'm not going because I'm waiting to hear back from them for bursary, but it's just like, I don't think it's going to happen. It'd be a fucking miracle if they give me a full bursary for it. And if they don't, I don't really know how I'm going to pay for it. But anyway, so yeah, money has been, let's get into the first point then. Money, fucking hell. Doesn't money make the world go round? I hate it so much because when you don't have it, you're like, fuck shit, isn't it? Because life at the moment feels heavily expensive. And I think as a doctor, you end up, like, you do earn fairly well. Not as well as I think we could for the amount we work, especially in the amount of, stress. But as a locum doctor in particular, you do earn fairly well now, or as a consultant, but you got to train for like 10 years to get there. So the issue with money is you start, if you just stop working with no real game plan, kind of like I did, I just thought I'm going to live on my savings for a bit. I didn't think it would like run out so quickly. Now, it's lasted till June, so almost 6 months, which sounds like a long time, but it really doesn't feel it because I've been like hurtling towards zero for probably about a month and being quite panicked. Now, I obviously started working probably about a week or two ago, so a bit, I have been paid for some of that. So it's not like fully savings based, but money is a big issue. What the fuck? I realised that I spend like $2,000 a month something, like just to live. And it's like, why? Where's it all going? Like, I haven't got any lavish expenses. And then you realise that actually it's bills. And you're like, fuck, my bills at the moment, because I've been paying all of the bills. I have to pay all of the bills for a 3-bedroom house, and that is a lot, right? So especially over winter, it went up a lot. Gas for 1 month was £160. Like, that is absurd. And then you had electric, water, council tax, which is like £130 a month, which I thought was more, but that's not the case. And then we don't have any other expenses on the house, I suppose. Like, we don't have to fix anything, thank fucking God, because this house is falling apart, 100 years old. That is one thing that I have in my favour right now. I don't have a mortgage. Like, I know ideally, like, I would have my own place, but not fucking happening, is it? And interest rates have gone up, so if I were on like a fixed term, then it would be through the roof, wouldn't it? And that would be quite worrying. I cut down like every extreme expense that I could. I cut down on, we really skimped on the heating as much as we could. Like, we're not those people that have it on all the time. We had it on for like an hour a day, and didn't have a dog walker because I was here. Barely used my car that much, and got rid of the editor and everything like that. Like, it was all on me. So I really cut down as many expenses as I could. And still, I'm like, how? It cost me loads to just be alive, I swear. I went through a significant period of just like really fucking hating the world we live in, because I was like, I don't want to pay all of these bills. I want to just exist. Like, I just want to exist. And then I had a bill from HMRC, thanks bays, for £5,000. So I was fucked off, and I still haven't paid it because I fucking can't, can I? So guys, it's been a real shitter. So I understand why people don't leave medicine, because even if you hate your job, like, you still have to, if you're only just paying as much as you can, like, you're not really saving that much, you actually just have to go to work, like, because you need money to live, and you have earned a certain lifestyle. And then, we thought about moving house. Like, I kept saying, like, let's just move, because I can't afford this house, like, right now, whilst I'm not working. And Tom kept being like, no, we don't want to move. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to move. But the situation was just getting really fucking dire, and I was like, oh my God. And the rent is so much. It's so expensive. I literally can't. But then I also don't want to live in like the middle of nowhere. I don't want to, I've got like improv here, and I've got acting here, and just living in the city is like much better for me, I would say. And we've got a really nice garden. We live right by the park, and we live by the hospitals. So like, it's fine if you have a job now. I think you do gain a certain standard of living, especially like just generally, don't you? You're not gonna, if you're earning like £3,000 a month, you're not gonna be living in somewhere, you might not want to, if you're with a partner or whatever, live in your mum's basement. Oh, we don't have basements here, but garage. I don't know. Like, I even thought like, oh, maybe I could just be like, not homeless. I guess I would be homeless, but just go live in like a fucking van for a bit. Like I just don't want to pay any bills. Like I just don't. Because it was just like really overwhelming. So, and it's horrible watching all of your savings just go down the drain. And I was really desperately trying to get a job. Like it was, I even thought, oh, I'll just go back to agency work, and that wasn't working out either. So I was really in quite a state. And that's been the case for the past few months. And everyone just thinks I'm fucking chilling, sitting about, not really doing much. But I'm sorry, but this is what you see. And there's lots of crying going on behind the scenes, okay? And like, I am honest, I do cry on camera. It's not as though I hide it, but I just think, who the fuck wants to watch me being miserable about my money problems and crying on camera when there are probably bigger problems in the world? But that is the first reason why people don't leave medicine, and I fucking get it. If I didn't have that job beforehand and like earn, enough money to save up, I wouldn't have been able to do it for so long, and I would have just had to take whatever I could have got. And by the point of like maybe a month ago or something like that, I was like at the point of, with my agency, like I might just have to take whatever I can get, even if it's like in Manchester. I'll just have to go live somewhere really shit and cheap and just deal with it, and come back on weekends, because I was getting to the point where I was like, I need money. And I kept saying to the bank, like the Locum Banks here, I was like, please come on. And I didn't want to be like really fucking annoying and desperate, but I probably was. But it was also like, what are you doing? Like, come on, just hurry up. And it seems like there was a huge massive issue with communication, and it was just a nightmare. I think also if you've got friends and things like that in places like, I live in Bristol, so I've got friends here. I don't want to go and move, and like moving is expensive as well. It's not a quick fix at all. Like when I moved from Bristol to Exeter, oh my god, it cost me like probably at least £1,000. Like it was so much money. I can't believe it. Just like hiring a van and then the fuel to get back and forwards, and then I hired like a removal people because there was loads of big furniture and I couldn't have done it like on my own, or oh my god, it was horrible. And then you have to pay the deposits, and then you lose some of your deposit if your landlord's a bitch. But so moving is not always the quick answer. So yeah, you gain a certain lifestyle and you kind of don't want to give it up, you start like shopping in certain places, and also you realise that buying cheap, you just have to buy multiple times. Whereas if you buy like one really expensive thing, like one really expensive pair of shoes, they'll last you a lot longer than like one really cheap pair of shoes that you'll have to throw away after like 6 months and then get a new pair, and then you just end up spending more. So once you've realised that, you're kind of like, oh, it makes it harder to buy things cheaper, because you're like, well, I don't want to buy it cheaper because I could get a good quality thing that'll last me longer, and it makes more sense. Okay, so that's money, lifestyle, increased living standard, and also the cost of living in this country is fucking appalling right now. But look, we're always going to complain about how it costs so much, and I feel like if they didn't cost that much, then everyone would be rich, and nobody wants that, because the rich want to be the richest because they want, like, it needs to be an exclusive club, right? Talking about exclusivity, becoming a doctor has a strong sense of notoriety and clout and respect. Now, you'll notice on things where, people have left medicine, they'll always remind you that they are a doctor, even if they're an ex-doctor. So whenever somebody would ask me, like, what do you do? I wouldn't say I was unemployed. I would say, technically I am a doctor, but I'm just in between jobs right now, which was true. Like, I hadn't left, but like in my mind, I just didn't want to go back to doing agency work. I didn't mind going back to the job itself, as long as it was just less, frequent. So I think, a lot of people do go into medicine for the respect and like to feel valued in society and have some kind of notoriety. And then if you leave medicine, what are you? Like, this is a big issue that I had, and it kind of links into a later point which I'll get to in a bit, but like you actually don't lose any of that respect because people still think you're a doctor, but maybe people think, or you think, that you're a failure because you've left. And that is a big thing, is I think it's like, well, why couldn't you hack it as a doctor? Like, you might think of that yourself, about yourself. And it's like, like lots of other people do it, but sometimes it's not, oh, I can't hack it. It's like, I just didn't like it. But it's hard, because then what are you doing? Like, who are you? And I guess you're always going to fall back to that, oh, I'm a doctor, because it's sort of becomes you and you become it. But I don't know if people think that they're going to lose that notoriety. And I remember this guy who worked in Timpson, and he never wanted to lose his doctor identity. He was like, he had something like doctor on his badge, weird, and when I met him, I don't know how it got into convo, but he told me like that he was a doctor, but he worked in Timpson, and that he was like, but it's just like, he obviously didn't want to lose that notoriety by being just someone who worked in Timpson. He wanted to be a doctor who decided to work in Timpson. Oh, by the way, if you're not from the UK, Timpson is like it's like a key cutting shop. It's like a chain, and they also do dry cleaning and belts, like leathery stuff, like shoe re-soling and stuff like that, and belts and stuff like that. Mainly keys, but I don't know what you'd call that kind of shop, but anyway, it's Timpson here. But he like got into the fact that he basically left because he didn't like it, and he highlighted to me significantly the fact that he earned more money doing what he was doing now in Timpson, but he also did some like what sounded illegal, but some other things, and I was like, okay, you do you. It didn't really like bother me. What did I think of him? I kind of thought like, wow, you just really don't want to give up on this doctor thing, do you? And I get that, like I definitely get it, because you as a doctor are put like in the higher esteem of society, right? And then you're deemed as clever and respectable, and then you go just to work in like I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but probably how he saw it was he's just like a shop worker now in a chain store, and he obviously felt some kind of loss of social class. I don't know how you would explain it, but like he felt like a difference in maybe, I don't know, how he was treated or how he was viewed or something like that. And he obviously felt the need to constantly say that he was a doctor and have it on his badge, which is fair enough, like whatever, you do you. But and I get it, because I don't necessarily walk around being like, I'm a doctor, look at me, I'm a doctor. But when people would ask me, like, what do you say? Oh, I'm unemployed. I don't know. I wouldn't go out of my way to tell people, but I would be like, well, technically I'm, not working at the moment, but I don't know. I guess I would tell them. But that's just, I don't know what you say to that. So I don't know if it was for notoriety or clout for me, but I wouldn't be surprised, because I do feel an increased level of respect and I've talked about this in my last episode, or maybe the one before, I can't remember, but people do treat you differently when they find out you're a doctor, and maybe that's nice. I don't know. I think it is. I don't know why I'm saying I don't know. It is nice. I don't like, it's kind of like a bit sad, but like, and it's kind of like when you're famous, right? I'm not saying doctors are famous, but you get that kind of, how I imagine it to be anyway, I'm not famous, but you get that sense of I'm respected by society, people know who I am, people care about me, blah blah blah. And then if somebody doesn't recognize you, or you start to lose your social status, that like probably makes you feel really shit as a famous person. Now if you're like super famous and you kind of don't really want to be, then maybe that's kind of good. You actually get to live like more of a normal life, like, I don't know, Justin Bieber or something. If he were to, not saying he lives a normal life, I'm saying if he were to not be recognized or something, maybe he would quite like it. I don't know, but I'm saying it in like a similar way, and it's, I think famous people are particularly bad because, or like the kind of bratty ones anyway, because they're like, do you not know who I am? But it's like that kind of feeling, I suppose, and you do have a strong sense of identity, and you've worked hard to get there, and like you are intelligent to be a doctor, and you are very trustworthy, so having that like badge kind of dropped off of you, even if it's from your own doing, it feels quite quite stinging, I would say. Not stinging, maybe for some people, but for me it was more like I was sort of fumbling around in the dark, like, what am I doing? I don't know. For other people, I think less for me, like I really didn't care about this whatsoever, but for some people I think they feel like they've failed if they stop working as a doctor. I see it's quite a big achievement, the fact that I even got here. Okay, so for me I wasn't worried about worried about failing, and I guess because I left voluntarily maybe, but I understand that for some people it might feel as if they'd failed, especially if your family have put a lot of pressure on you to do it. Now all of my pressure came internally from myself, saying to myself, you go and be a doctor, go on Dawn, off you go. So, and I was like, well, if it's not making me happy, then I don't really care about being a failure. I never saw myself as a failure for even temporarily leaving. It was, in my head, it wasn't me failing, it was the system. It wasn't as if I was not able to do my job because I wasn't good at it. It was because I didn't like it and it didn't make me happy. So that's not failing. But I understand if you get kicked out, or if you are not very good at the job, or don't get your registration or whatever. That's a kind of different story. I can kind of understand why you would feel like you'd failed. And I think also that if you have a strong family pressure of people being like, go into medicine, all your family are doctors, and then you don't want to do it, or you do it and then you don't like it and you want to leave, you are then not even, they might not physically outcast you, but you might feel like the odd one out. And a lot of these feelings are internal, that, oh my god, my phone's been open that whole time and it's really hot. So yeah, I can understand why, if you had people being like, why aren't you doing it, we're doctors, we can manage, you carry on too. Even if they're not saying that, you might think that they're feeling that, and then you're the kind of odd one out of the family, and you might see yourself as a failure as a result. Guys, I'd just like to point out that you're not a failure, okay? You're not. Oh, sorry, I just went into a yawn there and a stretch in it. On to the next one. What are we on now? 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5. Yeah. Wait, no, maybe 6. So we're over 2/3. A lot of doctors are friends with doctors, unsurprisingly. And I am quite thankful in the fact that I have quite a broad friendship group. I'm not just friends with doctors. I'm friends with doctors, I'm friends from people from school, I'm friends with people from acting, I'm friends with people improv. I like to spread myself out. Not on purpose, just it's how I've always been. I just spread my little tentacles out. And I think it's good to be friends with lots of different people. You don't want to be friends with just doctors. And this is the predicament you might find yourself in now if you're then I want to leave medicine and all your friends are doctors, and you're like, fuck, when we go out for food, all they talk about is medicine. No shit, because people talk about work, and medicine is the only language that doctors speak. So that is the issue that you fall into, is when you leave, it's not as though you're just gonna forget what being a doctor's like, but you might not want to be constantly reminded of the fact that you're now not a doctor, especially if you've got that feeling of failure. So if you are wanting to leave, I would recommend you need to go and not lose your old friends, but find some new ones too that aren't doctors if you don't have them already. You don't want to be in the doctor group and just they're all talking about medicine, because they will, and then you're just feeling bad all the time because you're well, I can join in, but also it's just not my vibe anymore, So go and do some hobbies, do something you've always wanted to do. Go and do some improv. I have been going to Spanish classes, Spanish meetups, even, not classes, and I've been going to acting socials and stuff like that. So there are plenty of other things to do, especially if you live in the big city. Number 5. Now this is the strongest one for me. This is the beefy, juicy one that I wanted to get to, and I've nearly alluded to it before in my previous when I talked about notoriety and clout, and I was really trying to hold back because I wanted to save it, is loss of identity. Guys, oh my god, we've worked so hard for such a long time. You know, I've been a doctor in medicine for 10 years of my life. And then you're just like, you're nothing. You feel like nothing. You're like, I am nothing. I have nothing money. I don't do nothing with my life. And it's not as though I wasn't doing anything. You know, I was working on my podcast and my YouTube channel, but I am nothing in the acting sphere. I am nothing in the podcasting sphere. I am nothing in the, did I say acting sphere already? YouTube sphere. Like, yes, I have followers. Yes, I I make episodes every, 2 times a week or whatever. But I'm not famous, not that I'm asking to be, but I basically, as a doctor, you've worked so hard to get there and you are there, right? You have the accreditation, you have the certificate, you have the acceptance that people are like, yeah, she knows what she's doing because she's got her GMC registration, etc. But when you leave medicine, you start from being a fucking baby again. And I tell you what, it is hard. I will not deny that. It is hard going from something that you have worked so long for and you're kind of used to just being in that kind of state of I have stepped up enough that now I'm 28, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm at a level where I am happy like working and I can keep stepping up. But then you're up here and then you start a new venture and you just go now obviously you do have a head start of being a bit older, being a bit more mature, having lots of life experience, which is so fucking important. Like, don't even get me started on that. And people underestimate the importance of life experience, I'm telling you. And you have the notoriety, you have the respect, you have the trustworthiness of being a doctor, and everybody understands what it is to be a doctor. Like, that's not, when you say I'm a YouTuber to your family, they're like, what? What is that? Like, how you make videos, you talk to a camera, what? Like, and then you edit them? My mum was like, can you even make money from that? And I was like, yeah. And she just didn't understand. She was like, why are you making these videos? So people understand what a doctor is. People don't understand, and they are more now understanding what a YouTuber is, but it's less like obvious because it's new. Doctor is one of the oldest professions. Apparently, actually, acting, ironically, and prostitution are the two oldest professions. And then I don't know where doctor comes in, but probably a bit later. Although the initial doctors were a little bit rogue, let's be honest. They were like, I take all your blood out and it'd make you clean. Nice. So what was I even talking about? Oh yeah. So yeah, starting from the bottom, now we're here. And the issue is, I don't know if it is actually loss of identity. Maybe I've got that wrong. I think it's more loss of, I don't know how to explain it, like level up, like loss of career progression. That's what I'm looking for. You start from fucking zero. Honestly, like, it's horrible. And not because I'm like, oh, I want people to respect me and I want people to think I'm amazing because I'm a doctor. And it was like, no, it's not that. It's just, it's so hard to get the ball rolling on stuff. Like, it really is. And it's like that feeling of trying to get into medical school again, but it feels so much harder and I don't know why. And I think it's because I had a lack of direction. Like, how does one even get into acting? How does one even get into YouTubing or podcasting? Like, yes, I was already in them, but how do you be successful in it? There's not a way to determine it. Whereas with medicine, it's so linear and progressional that it just makes sense. You do your GCSEs, you do well. You do your A-levels, you do well. You do your UK CAT, you hopefully do well. You apply to medical school, you do a personal statement, you go to interviews, and then you get in, and then you go year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6 maybe, if you do that. And it's just, and then you do F1, F2, and then, do you know what I mean? Like, it's so, you just get pushed along this train, and it's actually quite nice. You're just like, I'm going to sit on the career progression train, choo-choo, and it's a good time because you have to work for it, but it's, in a way, it's given to you. Like, once you're in medical school, that's kind of it. Like, yes, you have to put in hard work, but you're on that train, and like, it's not that difficult. You know, you've got somebody holding your hand the whole way, telling you, okay, now you go to this stage, now you go to this stage. It's fucking easy. Well, I want to be an actress. Well, what do I do now? I don't know. Are people going to come to me and like ask me to do things? No, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to do it. There's no one way. There's no easy way. So for me, that was the hardest thing. Is it maybe if I was going into a career that had some kind of progression. I love like a prescribed progression, like just because it's easy to follow, right? If somebody said to me, you need to go to acting school to become an actor, I'd be like, okay, cool. I go to acting school. Yes, I go to drama school. But everyone's like, well, you could go, but really you don't need to. And it is a lot of money. And like, it would teach you a lot, but then it's 3 years. And like, it's not clear. You don't know if you need to go to acting school or not, because some people have and some people haven't. And I've been at uni for 5 years. Do I really want to go back and go for another 3 years? Like, not really. And I could do a master's, but then I don't know. Everyone's like, you don't necessarily need a certificate. You just need to prove in the audition that you've got the skills. And that's completely the opposite to medicine, right? You have to have a certificate to prove that you've got the skills because you've been tested every step of the way. Whereas, you know, you can't just go to an audition for to become a doctor and go, I can perform surgery, look at me, this is how I do it. No, you have to like have done a fucking course and be like, no, I've been tested every step of the way and people have signed me off for all of this stuff and I've done X amount of procedures. Like, there's an easy way to progress in medicine. It's known about, it's easy, and I like it. I like it that way. And then when you leave, you're like, like, honestly, it's scary. You feel like a fish out of water. You're like, where do I start? I still don't know. I'm just making videos and fucking chucking them out there and see what happens. I'm making podcasts and chucking them out there and see what happens. I think that's kind of the way. And in terms of acting, I think it just takes a long time. I don't think there's like an easy like slide into it, like same with medicine really, but you know, it's really hard starting from zero again. And I think that is the hardest thing, is going from like, I know where I'm going, what I'm doing next, what I'm doing tomorrow, what I'm doing in 5 years time, to what am I doing tomorrow? Like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years time. I literally don't know what I'm eating for dinner. Like, I don't know, where am I going? And I had such I don't know if it was an identity crisis or a career fucking crisis, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm nothing in medicine anymore because I'm not currently doing it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm nothing in acting because nobody fucking cares and nobody gives a shit. And like, if I died, no one would know. Like, no one, except maybe the drama school that I applied to, and they gave me a place, by the way. Oh yeah, I told you that already. And then if I died on YouTube, like, would anybody care? Would anybody, like, there are definitely, you know, subscribers and stuff. People might be like, oh, where's Dawn? She's not uploaded for a while. But like, no one would be crying. I don't know. Like, I don't know, it's been a really hard time. And I tell you what, I don't know what it is, but I've gone back to work and I feel better. I don't know if it's money. I think it helps. Money helps, right? Because it's kind of panic worthy not having any money in this world anyway. But like, I completely understand now people that are on really low incomes and they're like, how the fuck are we going to pay the bills? And that must be like a chronic stress for them. Like that, I honestly have empathy now for that. Because I was obviously living in a state of being able to save, so I guess a state of abundance. And then it was like, that was just all sort of taken, well, I guess by my own volition, but taken away from me. And it was like, oh my God. So yeah, my biggest issue has been just feeling like a nothing. And that's really hard because my whole life has been geared towards something. And since the age of 14, like, before then, I don't really know what I was doing. I was fucking about and being an absolute nightmare to my teachers. And then when I was like, well, yeah, I want to do this, then I just kicked into gear and I just got going. And it was probably a fucking godsend for them. But I need, and this is maybe a reflection on me and my own, I don't know, existential problems, but like, I need somewhere to go. I can't just be floating around in the ether. Like, I need somewhere to go. Like, I need to go to work. I need to go somewhere in my career. I don't know. I'm sorry. I do. I don't understand these people who just sit at home all day and don't give a shit. Like, even though I was at home, oh boy, was I working. I was either editing, I was recording a podcast. Like, I'm always doing something. I've always got stuff to do. And it's not just housework, even though that I also have that to do. So yeah, that was the biggest issue for me. And going back to work has not only given me, I guess, a sense of purpose, like something to get up for, kind of sad, isn't it? But also money, but also like, I enjoy working at the hospital I'm at right now. Like, I'm working in the emergency department, just doing locum shifts here and there, and I'm really liking it. Like, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I could do emergency medicine, and maybe I could like Caesar in it. So watch this space, okay? Things might be looking up, but does that mean I'm going to give up on my acting dream? No, it doesn't actually, because I really like that too. But it means that I'm putting much less emphasis on it, and maybe less emphasis on my YouTube channel, as in like less pressure on it. Like, I'm still putting all the work in, but I have less pressure to be like, oh my god, I really need this to work because I don't have a source of income. And that was something I was also putting on myself, which was not healthy at all. Anyway, my nose is so snotty, it's so gross, I'm sorry. I think it's because it's summer or something, and like, I don't know, snot o'clock. The last thing I want to mention is, within all of the shit days and the overworking and hating life, right, there are plenty of highlights. Whether it be the colleagues that you work with, whether it be the patient who like looks you in the eye and fucking tells you that you're the best person ever and thanks you from like the deepest place of their heart, and you can feel that. And then like the patient's relative who like gives you a kiss on the cheek, you know? I don't know if that's allowed, infection control or whatever, but she kissed me, okay? I can't help it. And yeah, it's just, there are like highlights in your day that make you go, wow, my job is worth it. Like, I do like it, and it would be hard to give this up. I do feel like I'm making a somewhat of a difference, although not huge maybe, but it's going somewhere, and people obviously do appreciate the work that you do. So then to sort of sit around and do nothing, like, you do feel like you're not really doing anything, because that's what you are doing. Anyway, I think that's the end of my why doctors don't leave medicine. Thanks so much for listening. Guys, if you want to know what I get up to on my days off, apart from podcasting, then come and join me on the vlog. Here we are. We're going to start again, even though I've almost killed all of my battery from just leaving my phone open. And yeah, I've got an emergency department shift tomorrow. That's what my days are currently looking like. What's my shift tomorrow? Yeah, it's 4 till midnight. I'm really loving those shifts. Do you know why? Because I get a free taxi home, and I'm also like quite a late riser, so for me to start work at 4, fuck great. Also, you see all the interesting stuff because like there's less people around, and I just like it. So there we go. Anyway, if you liked watching me, you can join me every a lot. I have obviously my YouTube channel. It's at Dawn Barlow if you're just listening on the podcast. Hello. If you are watching on YouTube already, well, you've already found my channel, so maybe just consider subscribing, consider liking the video, that would be super great. And yeah, if you've got any comments, like, are you a doctor? Do you hate your job like I did? And why haven't you left? Are there any other reasons that I haven't mentioned? I'm sure there are, but what are they? Because I'm not an all-encompassing encyclopedia. God, I realised that I've forgotten to do my weird thoughts like many times in a row, and somebody emailed me and was like, I really like your weird thought section, and then I realised I didn't do a weird thought for a long time, so let me think of one. Okay, I've got one. It's not hugely weird, but it is something that I'm thinking about at the moment. We have tadpoles in our pond. Fucking love them. I watch them every day. I sit by my pond, although they do swim away really quickly, so you have to kind of go in slowly and wait for them to come back. And they're getting real big, okay? So they're at the stage where they're probably like my fingernail in terms of their head size, or head and body, whatever you want to call it. They've even got little eyes, I saw the other day, little beady eyes, and I think they're sprouting legs from behind. And isn't it really weird that most animals come out apart from like maybe butterflies, come out as they are in their like long-term form. But the thing is with tadpoles and frogs is that they come out as tadpoles, like little sperms. Little black sperms. Wait there. A sperm, like other sperms, like human sperms, are they white colour? Because semen is white? Or are they can't be black, because then semen would be black. Well, that's weird. Anyway, so they're like little black sperms. And then their legs sprout and then they lose their tail. Like, how weird is that? I think that's fucking weird. But it's really cool because I am watching them every day and I'm like, when are your legs coming out? And I think their legs are coming out. Their back legs are coming. And I'm waiting for their tails to drop off. So I'll keep you updated if you'd like to know. I just find them mesmerising to watch. Like, I really want to touch one, and I know that they won't let me touch them, and I know that also I probably shouldn't touch them, and I know that I might accidentally like kill one if I touch it because I'm a bit clumsy, but they kind of look like I want to touch one. I don't know why, I just want to like hold it like this. That's weird in itself. Okay, on that note, I'll love you and leave you. What day is it today? Thursday. Okay, so my next episode will be out on Monday. And I'll see you then. Love ya. Bye.